Hello and welcome everybody to lesson 7 of our diploma in mobile app development. Today we are going to be looking at making money in mobile, so ways of generating revenue, rewarding you for all the hard work that you've put into your mobile app. So very quick sound check before we begin. If you can hear me, please do type in where you are listening from. We've Gary from Wexford, Jakarta calling in, London, fantastic stuff, Belgium calling in there, Brian from the Netherlands, fantastic to have you all on board. So any questions, do get asking them. Can you imagine that this is our second last lesson? We've one more last lesson after this. Can't you believe how far you've come over the past couple of weeks? So Missouri there calling in South Africa, brilliant stuff to have you all on board. And Daniel there from New Zealand, brilliant stuff to have you on board. Jennifer saying hi. So I am Ushin, your mad educator as usual, and just a very quick recap before we get going. So the last lesson, lesson 6, was publishing your app. So we looked at getting ready for launch, and there was quite a few bits and pieces to prepare before doing this. So we had our EULA, our end user license agreement, which was something to consider. Remember, there is the Android market terms of service agreement, which can be sufficient in a lot of areas, but may not be enough for your app. And then as well, you needed to finalize your materials, the images used, your application icon, written content, make sure that your databases were production ready. So there's quite a bit there, but again, it is one of the final stages. So South Africa calling in, Jerry in New Jersey, brilliant stuff, David there from Los Angeles, Downington in Pennsylvania, everyone calling fantastic, and Stephen there in Kildare. Then we had a look at the final checks as well. So this included a lot of testing, making sure it works on a wide range of devices. And then as well, we had signing your app and versioning it, which were also extremely important. And with signing your app, I hope you all remember that when you sign your app, you have a private key and a key store which contains your private keys, and you need to keep that safe and secure because it's the only way you can release updates. If your application is not signed with the same key, public key certificate, you will not be able to release updates at all. So that's quite important to keep that safe and secure, and I really hope I got that across to you all. Next, we had a look at the Google Play Developer Console, which is your one-stop shop for everything to do with publishing and also releasing your app. And then finally, we had a look at launching your minimum viable product. So does anyone have any questions before we get going with today's lesson, which, as we know, is making money in mobile? I'm pretty sure this is a lesson that you're all quite interested in. No one doesn't like generating revenue. So I believe everyone is ready to get going. So we're going to take a look at a couple of monetization models. So different ways that we can monetize our app. So models that we can follow for this. Then we're going to be looking at making money from free apps, and there are a huge variety of ways to do that. So it is important to think about what the functionality of your app is and how you can monetize that. So do remember that in the first couple of lessons, in the first week, we had a look at who our audience is and how we can tailor the functionality of our application towards them. This all comes in useful here because we can tailor our monetization strategies in tandem with the functionality of our app. Then we're going to be looking at some ways that you can maximize revenue as well. You do want to be clever in a lot of small little ways to maximize the amount of revenue earned. And then our summary and our Q&A at the end. So is everyone ready to get going with today's lesson and get cracking? And if anyone does have any questions, now is the time to ask them. And before we get started, I'm going to take a very quick drink of water, and I believe everyone seems to be okay for the time being. As usual, don't hesitate to pop in any questions you might have into the comment box as the webinar progresses. So our monetization models, okay? First of all, I want to ask you a question. How your app can turn a profit. So what are the different ways that you think your application could make money? Does anyone have any ideas about the different ways that an app can make money? And there are a huge variety of ways, and I'm sure you've all seen them on apps that you yourself has used. We've ads there, very good. You could charge for a service, that's quite good as well. In-app purchases, brilliant stuff. So there's quite a few answers coming in there. We've in-app purchases, charging for your app, everything like that. So that's very good answers, and it shows that you're already thinking about revenue, which at the end of the day is something to consider. Even if turning a profit isn't your end goal at the there are still a couple of ways that you can implement revenue earning strategies to at least cover your cost without detracting from the overall user experience. So there's quite a few ways to do that. First of all, let's just take a quick look at some monetization models. Load of very, very good answers there in regards to different ways of generating revenue. So paid apps, okay, and we're going to be looking at paid apps in a bit of detail. Now, I would like to just use them as an example, and much of the lessons you can learn from paid apps does apply to anything you decide to charge for. So if you decide to charge for an in-app purchase, if you decide to charge for, say, the freemium version of an app, which we'll be looking at in a minute, what we talk about here can be applicable across the board. So these are our top selling apps that we have on the Play Store, and can anyone just looking at them, can they spot anything that would possibly stand out with these, that possibly would stand out with these that we would make them a paid app? And are there any reasons why they're paid and why they think that they can charge for an app? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of you here mightn't buy apps all that often. Quite a few of them are games. Very good point. Quite a few of them are a game. One thing I would like to point out is that I do apologize, is that, well, there are quite a few of them are games, which we're not going to be dealing about in a huge amount of detail. And again, if we do look at the games, if we look at Minecraft there, if we look at the Farming Simulator, they're quite well established games. We also have The Chase, which is a TV show. High Star Rating is quite a good one. So that's something I would like to take up, is that they all do have a high star rating. So it means that they are of good quality. The apps here, for the most part, if we want to take our Solar Walk, KHC, Theory, Guitar, Wonder Weeks, just the first one there, and maybe this one as well. If we take all of these, first of all, they just fulfill a very specific purpose, okay? They're not just a sort of app that you might download out of interest. They do fulfill a very specific purpose, and the high ratings that we look here back that up, that they are of good quality. So this is a 3D spacecraft and space exploration. So it's an encyclopedia of the solar system, and that is what it is. And it does offer in-app purchases, which possibly mightn't be the best way to go there. But again, with a lot of paid for apps, if you are considering to make your app paid for, and I will advise against that in a bit, but it needs to really be worth it. It needs to be able to get a good rating, and this may have taken a lot of time and effort to work with, because again, 3D modeling, things like that. This is very much a accompanying app to a security system. So HKC, it allows users to remotely control their security system. Again, it's an add-on to a pre-existing company, to a pre-existing product. This is an add-on as well to a pre-existing product, the driver theory test in Ireland. This again is a add-on app for a pre-existing website, and they do what they say on the tin, and very much so. Their ratings there, if we look at that, that has 175,000 ratings, and most of them 5 and 4 stars. So again, when you are making an app paid for, it has to be worth it. It has to tell the user exactly what they want. It has to fulfill that, and the ratings will roll in. People do get very, very annoyed if they buy an app and it doesn't fulfill the purpose that it says. So the thing to take away from this is that if you are going to charge for your app, generally it needs to fulfill a specific purpose very well, or maybe integrate into something that's well established and integrate into an external service. So your app does live and die based on the reviews, okay, that you get. And if you put up an app and make it paid for and it's not any good, people will give it bad ratings. If it's not worth the price tag, okay, people will be a bit happier with something for free rather than paying for something and being disappointed. So it really does have to be worth it. So the Play Store, just before we start going into the free apps and other options there, let's talk about the revenue split. And I have mentioned it before, but the revenue split is 70-30. So you get 70% of the revenue. So the Play Store operates on a 70-30 revenue split. You get 70% of the revenue and the Play Store gets the other 30%. Now, they are planning to implement an 85-15% split for subscriptions, but I'm not 100% sure when that will be implemented. And the 70-30 split, it applies to all payments handled by Android and the Play Store. Google do give you the ability to handle payments yourself, and this does mean more revenue for yourself, but it can be a lot more difficult to integrate, and you are entirely responsible if someone makes a credit card payment on your app and it goes wrong because you weren't using the Android systems that are in place, and you could be in a lot of trouble. So it is something I try and avoid. The less detail you have of users, and the less trouble you can get into. That does include in-app purchases. And then this is something to keep in mind as well. You can turn a paid app into a free app, but not vice versa. So that's very important, okay? If you choose to release an app as a free app, you cannot turn it into a paid app because it is getting popular. And what a lot of apps here you may see is that they actually have two different versions, but you can't turn the same version, a free app, into a paid app. You can turn a paid app into a free app though. Maybe it's not doing as well, people don't want to buy it, so maybe you will implement another one of the revenue models we're going to be talking about, monetization models. And maybe you have released a paid app, people aren't buying it, you're not generating revenue from it. Maybe you want to turn it into a free app and try out something different. And you do need to set up a merchant account as well to receive all payments. So, charging for your app. This does apply to a lot that we're going to be talking about later on in the lesson. Whether we're going to be charging for an in-app purchase, whether we're going to be using ads, a lot of the principles do apply. So know your target audience. You can change the price, David. You can change the price, and there are a variety of ways that you can maximize revenue by changing the price at clever points, optimum points. So this does apply for anything you may charge for: in-app purchases, premium features. First of all, you want to know your target audience, and if we look back to our first week of the course, if you've done your research properly, this shouldn't be a problem. But the first question you want to ask yourself: are they willing to pay? And this can be quite a tricky one, and is one of the reasons why overall people are moving away from paid apps. Are they willing to pay? Do they have a credit card? And when charging for an app, and we have talked about it, charging initially creates expectations, okay? So if a user, and as I said, if someone pays for an app, generally there shouldn't be no advertisement. It has to be a feature-filled experience, and I'm sure you all have an idea what I mean by feature-filled experience, okay? Pretty much the app should be really, really worth it, okay? Because again, if someone spends $250 on an app and it's useless and really not happy, crashes a lot, buggy, bad graphics, bad layouts, mightn't work on your device. It's going to get a lot of negative reviews very, very quickly. And if we do want to look back here, okay, this is if we do want to very quickly look back here, some of these do not have a huge amount of downloads, okay? If we look at a couple of these, it's not that they have a huge amount of downloads to actually be in top selling apps. Close them. So it's something to keep in mind, okay? So for instance this, so it's a millimeter pro ruler on screen. It has 178 reviews. Okay, that's not a huge amount of reviews overall, but as you can see, the majority of them are 5-star reviews. If this was useless, it would be, people wouldn't buy it. It might have 2 reviews. So there's a lot there. Again, that has a few views and few downloads. That is quite a bit, but that one is only 178 reviews overall, which is not a huge amount, but it is, as you can see, ranked quite highly. It's in the top 20, which is quite good. So it's something to keep in mind. Your app does live and die based on reviews. Feature-filled experience, as I've said. With paid apps, okay, you do end up with having a smaller user base, because I have had students on before who'd say they would rather try out 10 free apps rather than buy and download the one app, because again, the app marketplace is very, very competitive. So with a smaller user base, customer loyalty is high. But again, you need to treat that with respect, treat your customers with respect, because they have purchased something. They are more likely to be loyal to your app, to keep on using it, but you do need to respect that and reciprocate by releasing updates, providing a good experience, answering their queries, taking on board suggestions for updates, because you do want them to keep on using it. And if there are any further purchases, they must be cheap. People don't want to spend money and then have to spend more and more money. So that is very much something you do want to keep in mind. So what should you charge? This is a difficult one, and it very much depends on the app itself, what it's providing. I've seen apps that are very much, this will provide 40 hours of gameplay and they charge €2. And again, the reviews back that up. So it could be a bit of an issue trying to charge for an app if you're unsure whether the reviews will back that up. So you want to know your market, and this should all be done in your analysis stage of development. But if you haven't done it, it's more important than ever to do it now. So it first of all helps you out with your app idea and where to go with your app idea. But secondly, it does allow you to price competitively. So what are other apps charging? And again, this is something I really would like you to keep in mind, okay? While it may be very, very tempting for you to make a paid app, a lot of times there is a free app out there doing the same purpose. So your app should be quite unique, fulfill a very specific purpose. Otherwise, if there's a free app out there that does the same thing, people will go for that. That is the fact of the matter. And we're going to be talking about free apps in just a minute and how to make money from them. So what are other apps charging? And then you can start attracting attention in a couple of ways. You could undercut competitors if you wished, offer more value for superior features. So there's quite a variety of ways to do this. And what you want to think about is it worth your while to develop those superior features? Because again, you want to think about your time versus reward. There is a time versus reward ratio in development where you have to figure out, will the time spent on this particular feature will the reward garnered from that be worth it? Something to keep in mind. So there is no point spending months on an app just so that at the end, to be competitive, you have to sell it at 50 cents. And this is where doing your research at the start really comes in helpful. But it is much easier to develop an app that possibly doesn't do a huge amount, and you can release it for free or for 20 cents, undercutting competitors. So you want to keep in mind the time versus reward ratio. So 99 cents or more, what should you charge? There is a huge variety of ways to do that. So complex apps do charge more. Again, if we want to go back to page here, Minecraft, it is an extension of the game, but this €3, it's got 3D in it. This is, you've already spent money on an alarm system, and this is the companion app. Our driver theory test, €7 is not too much for the driver theory test app. It's got a lot of questions. So again, you need to figure out what your app's value is, and this really depends. And again, you need to do your competitive analysis, and you want it to look attractive and provide value with this, and experiment with different price points. And we don't have a huge amount of time to go into it in this lesson because we want to cover some other revenue models, but pricing your app, there's different price points, and also you may have heard of psychological pricing, and you know, everything that ends in 99 cents, round numbers and things like that. For some reason it just looks nicer rather than charging say €2.37, and that is one way to maximize revenue as well, and I'll be talking about that later. Now this is a very important point, and I want to talk about paid apps, but all of this does apply to, just in general, any feature that you may be charging for, whether that's in-app purchases. So 90% of apps on the Play Store are free. 90% of apps are free, okay? So that is a huge number. It is a huge, huge number. So while it may be tempting for you to charge for your app, you may get no downloads, and unless your app is really spectacular in those regards, it may be very, very difficult for you to generate any revenue, while you may be better off generating revenue from advertisements. So if anybody has any questions, now I'm going to, before we get on to the next slide, and start talking about making money from free apps, where 90% of apps are. Now, it is important to remember with making money from free apps that a lot of apps, while they say they are free, aren't 100% free. If we want to take, for example, Spotify. Spotify is a free app, but for full functionality, you do need a subscription service. So a lot of apps do that. So let's take a quick look. If we go to our top charts and top grossing apps. So these are the top grossing apps, the apps that make the most money. And as you can see, all of them are free. And at what point do we actually hit a paid app? There we go, Minecraft at number 28. So a lot of them are games, but what you will notice is if we open up a few of them, is that they will say contains ads, offers in-app purchases, offers in-app purchases, offers in-app purchases. That's Google Drive, so it doesn't particularly need to do anything. Offers in-app purchases, offers in-app purchases, again offers in-app purchases. So a lot of them are ads and in-app purchases. And there are a variety of reasons for this. So, it's quite a good point. And if we even wanted to go to our new releases, see here, top new apps, a lot of them again, free apps, and they would all offer in-app purchases and also advertisements. So users do love free stuff, and again, you want to know your target audience when creating your app, because we're going to be talking about advertisements and in-app purchases, okay? And there are a couple of things to keep in mind with these. Let's start off with advertisements, okay? We can use ads, and we'll be talking about advertisements in the next couple of slides, so not to worry. But you do need to know your target audience again. Would they be willing to put up with advertisements? would they be willing to buy an in-app purchase? And we will talk about these two in detail in a moment. But the next thing to look at is freemium and light version. So everyone has possibly come across this, where there are two versions of the app. One of them has a limited functionality and is the free version, and then to get full functionality, the user needs to buy the full version. So if we want to look at it, Spotify would be an instance of that, where you do need to purchase to get the full version as well. So when implementing freemium, there are a lot of things to keep in mind, okay? One really important thing, and you may have come across this before, when using a freemium light version app, it'll give you something like 5 goals, and then it'll say, no, you can't use the app anymore. That is something you should really avoid. Again, a lot of these may look very tempting on paper, but we'll be talking about how to maximize video or maximize revenue later on in the lesson. And the most important thing is you need to keep users. It's very difficult for you to generate any revenue if people do not download and use your app. So that's the most important thing. You do not want to annoy users. And anyway, so when implementing freemium, don't offer enough functionality to demonstrate how good it is. As I've said, don't give the user 5 free goes or something like that and then demand that they buy the full version. The free version of the app, in this instance, should be useful and usable in itself, okay? The quality of the app shouldn't suffer and require the user to buy the full version. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone, and that is important for two reasons. The first is if the user needs to buy the premium version of the app to be useful, generally they just won't do it. They will uninstall the app because it is useless to them unless they are able to purchase the full version. And then a couple of months down the line, when the app would be useful to them, they will have forgotten about it and found another app. So you would have lost out on a user there. So the free version should be quite useful in itself. And the second reason is that the free version serves as a really effective advertisement for the paid version. So if the free version works really well and the user gets great use out of it, enjoyment out of using it, it's very useful to them and they use it often, they are more likely to buy the full version because that could only be more useful to them. So people who went out and searched for your app are the people who are most likely to download your app. And pretty much these are the people who are most likely to purchase the premium version of your app. And that is why the free version of your app should be the best possible app it can be, and the premium features just make it better. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. And again, I'll be covering more in the advanced course. So you do get a wider user base, and it means that you can promote with social sharing. Again, because the app is free, you can get a lot more users. In regards to that, there's no barrier to people downloading your app. They do not need to pay. So no barriers to your users, even if they don't have a credit card and are unable to purchase in-app. They can still generate you revenue from viewing ads or recommending your app to friends who possibly do have credit cards. So how do you make money? Well, there's advertisements and in-app purchases. And ads are a very tricky one, okay? And I'm sure you have all experienced it, downloading an app where ads keep on popping up constantly. They're everywhere, and you download and uninstall. Or one way of getting around that is just disconnecting your phone from the internet. So they are a tricky one, and you do need to be very careful. And some of you here, and I would like to actually see your opinion on this. How many of you would never view an ad and would really hate it? And how many of you would actually be okay with viewing an ad once in a while because you are, at the end of the day, getting something for free? So it can be a consistent revenue source. If the user is using your app consistently, it will provide a consistent revenue source. And there are a few different ways to implement ads. You have banner ads, which are displayed constantly. You have interstitial ads, which pop up moving between screens. There's ads to download apps. There's in-content ads. There's a variety of ads, and they can earn revenue through cost per impression, which is an impression is someone seeing the ad, and you could generally get paid on cost per 1,000 impressions. You have cost per click, you get paid per click, and then cost per action. So I hate ads. I never view the ads. Okay, once in a while I'd be okay with viewing the ads. How would you get the advertiser to advertise your app? And Matthew, we're not talking about it from that's promoting your app. This is you displaying ads in your app. I would be okay with viewing an ad. I view ads all the time as long as it's not so many. Very, very good. So there are quite a few ways, and it is dependent on user interaction. It is dependent on user interaction. This is all about how a free app can make money through advertisements and app purchases, whatever it may be. Ads will not be seen as they're in your face all the time. I don't like ads. It is dependent on user interaction. So again, we need to come back to the point that you do not want to annoy users to the point that they uninstall your app, because you need them to be viewing your app, to be looking at a screen, to view the ad. And one huge thing to keep in mind is try, explain, and reward, okay? And there's this very cool game. How do you choose what ad to display in your app? I will be covering implementing ads in more detail. In the advanced course, it works through AdMob, which is owned by Google, and they take care of all of that for you, so you don't need to worry about what ads you want to display. There is this very good game that I quite enjoy playing, though I did uninstall it. Now, this features a lot of ads, okay? It does contain ads, but what it does is it explains and rewards. So when you open up the app, it's a game, so you're earning like fake money in it. And when you open up the app, it will say, would you care to watch a 30-second ad to double your earnings, to double your in-game earnings, which again are not real dollars, okay? But explain and reward ads to users. It's quite a good way to do it. If the users used your app 10 times, it might be an idea to say, would you mind viewing an ad to support this free app so you can keep on delivering new content? If you have consumables, like say for instance you were doing a recipe app, maybe ask them to watch an ad to unlock a recipe, something like that. So try and explain and reward the user for watching ads, which is quite a good way to go about it if it's explained to you rather than just popping up in front of you with you not having any control about it. And you always want to leave control with the user, and they get annoyed. It's not a good user experience if you take control away from them and show them ads without their consent, without them having any choice in the matter. Now, again, you may be thinking, it doesn't matter, it's much better for me just to display no matter what they want, but they will uninstall the app. You've lost a user. How can you generate any revenue if you do not have users? So, advertisements are a tricky one. In-app purchases, they're a huge amount of this. And the huge idea, the main thing with in-app purchases is that you need to think about what features the user might need on a regular basis. And if you can turn that into an in-app purchase without making the app unusable. Generally mid-level extra features that aren't 100% necessary but do add to the overall experience of using the app are worth making into an in-app purchase. So you can sell digital content, and there's a huge amount with that. So you can sell digital content and sell superior features. So the best in-app purchases are subscriptions, as they are repeat intervals and hopefully aren't one-time transactions. The next best in-app purchases are consumables. So this includes things like virtual currency, hearts, lives, things like that. So really with in-app purchases is that the purchase has to make sense to the user. If it doesn't make sense to them, they won't buy it. And again, you will not generate revenue from that. So there's no point in just turning everything into an in-app purchase on the off chance someone might buy it, because you'd lose users while selecting and thinking about it intelligently, which features what you could turn into a in-app purchase without making the user very annoyed and depriving them of an experience, so that it actually makes sense to them. So it is all about engagement, and I've talked about that, but it's really about engagement, especially with free apps. Okay, there is a huge problem with download and delete. I do forget the figures out at the moment, but it's quite a large figure where people download an app and then delete it because they don't want it. So you need to engage with users. And again, if you implement ads or in-app purchases, or if we do want to turn to our previous slide, when we talk about our freemium light versions, if you implement them without thinking about how your app works, and complementing the function of your app, if you just implement it because they will download and delete, and you will not generate any revenue. So it needs to make sense and complement the functionality and purpose of your app. Responding to feedback is another great one. So again, respond to reviews. Please do respond to reviews, comments, everything. If people say this is crashed, get in contact with them. You can tell when a user has deleted your app, and we'll be looking at that in the next lesson. So responding to feedback, keeping users, and making use a habit. So this is a huge one, okay? You cannot make money if someone downloads it and then deletes it. So if your app is free, you generate revenue from users viewing advertisements and purchasing in-app purchases. Otherwise, you will not generate any revenue. So you don't get money if someone simply downloads your app, sadly. So, try and encourage habitual use. Make use a habit. Because what it is if people are really enjoying using an app, they are more likely to purchase from it. They are more likely to make put up with advertisements. If it provides a good user experience, they use it daily, and that is really how you generate the most money from free apps. You have to make use a habit, because again, if the user does not open your app, they will not view the advertisements, they will not purchase anything in the app because they don't have it open. So again, you need to make sure it's useful on itself. Users keep on using it. So any questions on that? And we'll very quickly run through some different steps on maximizing revenue. So localization is a huge one. You want to target your audience worldwide. In the developer console, you can set the price of your app, and you probably will set the price to be in whatever your local currency is, or dollars or euros. The thing you do need to consider is that there are 70 plus countries that have the Play Store. So you do really want to localize prices and keep it in mind that you are targeting a worldwide audience. And promoting your app is a huge one as well. Marketing the launch, because at the end of the day, knowledge is power, and there are a variety of ways that you can analyze data, and we'll be talking about that in the next lesson. But creating that initial interest is hugely important. And then as well, reading your data. Are the users active? Why aren't they active? Does the data reveal any bugs? And respond to user feedback, as I've said. So you do need to respond to user feedback in a large way, because it makes users appreciate it if the app does crash for some reason or another. Rather than giving it a bad review, if you got in contact with them straight away as they posted it up and saying that we are going to get this fixed, once we get it fixed, would it be possible for you to change your review? A lot of times, because you have given that interaction, they will. So converting users as well, there's a variety of options here, but with a large user base and with free apps, is that not everyone will buy, and that's something to keep in mind. And you do not want to pressure people and make the app unusable in such a way that they just will not use it. So you do need to keep it in mind that not everyone will buy. Are these users useless to you? Well, they are not at all. Again, you don't want to just be providing a good experience to paying users. Okay, people who are purchasing the in-app purchases, who view the ads, they make your app valuable to other users. So you do want to keep other users in mind as well. They can help you gain interest. Okay, so that's what they can help do. They make your app valuable to users. The power of word of mouth is still very valuable with apps. So you want to make the service and functionality of your app valuable to other users, even if they mightn't be paying for it. Because they can create a buzz about the app, and that's fantastic. And it's always a good idea to integrate social media sharing in your app. Say, for instance, having the option to share on Twitter or Facebook. Hanny, if you'd like to ask that question at the end, I could cover it in a bit of detail. And there are different ways of generating revenue. Offer an ad-free version. Again, you don't want to make it totally useless and true advertisements popping up the whole time. And if we do want to go back and have a look at this, there was one of the apps here. Is pretty much just the ad-free version. So rather than having the user, purchase the ad-free version, it might be an idea just to do two completely separate versions. Release one as paid and one as free, rather than having them upgrade in the app. So, and great, it's very important to keep users active for over 1 month, and I'll be talking about that more in the next lesson. So, again, maximizing revenue, it's all about keeping your users. You don't want to abandon your users, you want to keep your app, maintain, update and release new features. And then the social act as well, make it fun to share with others and reward users for promoting the app. Fantastic stuff. So does anyone have any questions on that or anything they would like to ask? Fantastic stuff. So we have actually come to very nearly the end of today's lesson. So it would be fantastic for our 4-weekly challenge for you to please post a screenshot of your app, what you've been inventing over the past few weeks. So how do you make an advertisement? Again, it's all dealt with by AdMob, which is an advertisement aggregation service provided by Google, which is easy to implement through Android Studio, which we'll be covering in the advanced course. So post a screenshot of what you've been inventing under the hashtag ShowMadProgress, or if you don't use Facebook or don't want to post it on social media, please do just send me a screenshot. How do you reward users for promoting your app, Stefan? I'll deal with that at the end, if we could just get through a quick summary. So today what we looked at was monetization models, making money from free apps, that should say, I do apologize, maximizing revenue as well. So do attend lessons live and you will benefit most, and I'm here to help. So do contact me at mobile.app@shawacademy.com. So the next lesson, lesson 8, is development analysis. We're going to look at some development tools, data analysis, introduction to user retention, and some strategies you can use as well. Because as we saw from this lesson, you have to retain users to generate revenue. And there's no point in having an app out there full of advertisements and in-app purchases people download and delete. And it's a huge, huge problem. So now that we are on the final week, just a quick reminder that those of you who are waiting to upgrade to premium, that the offer is almost at an end. So the clock is ticking. Don't wait too long or you will miss out, and I really don't want that to happen. So I can see a lot of you are inquiring about the toolkit and how to access it. So just a quick reminder that it is all included in the cost of the premium membership, and I think it is really important as well to mentally prepare for the final assignment. So just to be clear, as I mentioned in lesson 1, you can pay $19.99 to take the final assignment, or it is free for premium members. The assignment is 100 question multiple choice in total, and as you can see there, pass is equal to 50, merit is equal to 70%, and the distinction is 85%. So hopefully you're all aiming for a distinction. I can see a couple of people there, very, very good. See you're aiming for that. So you will not have to pay for that, and the lesson, it will be available after lesson 8, so just keep that in mind. Okay, it will be available after lesson 8, and I will also be uploading a nice little exam prep video for our premium members. Fantastic stuff. And as well, okay, just a reminder and just a bit more information on the Advanced Diploma in Mobile App Development, because I have been getting a lot of emails from you about this, so I'll just give you a little bit more information on the structure of this EQF Level 5 accredited course. So our Advanced Mobile App Development course is really cool because it is 12 weeks long and is split up into 3 by 4 week semesters. So each of these is pretty much a module in the EQF Level 5 course, with the one you're currently on, the foundation course, being the first module. So each semester is designed to allow you to master a particular element of mobile app development. So first of all, we do have our UI and UX semester, as you can see there, where we'll be covering all about user interfaces, user experience, navigation systems, things like that, to make sure that when the user is using the app, it provides the best possible experience to them. And again, if you think about this lesson, it is all about engaging with the user, habitualizing use, and having a fantastic UI that provides a great user experience, really engages with the user. Then we'll have our data storage semester, and in that semester, what we're going to be working with is SQLite databases for local storage, as well as working with network connections and online databases to receive data and send data to an online database. And then we have our functionality semester as well. And this is where we're going to be using APIs. And APIs are application programming interfaces. So we're going to be working on how to add even more functionality to your app by using outside software such as geolocation, a lot of the Play services as well that are provided, Firebase also. And because each semester covers a totally different topic, that means total flexibility for you as a student. You can take them all 3 in a row, or you can take a break for a month as if you wish. As long as you complete all 3 semesters, that is the main thing. And then the way it works week by week, in terms of how it works week by week, we will have a theory on Tuesday where we'll be covering everything, the implementation, the theory behind our Thursday's practical application. So I do change up the practicals as time goes on, and they're constantly full of up-to-date information. So overall, it's quite a unique structure, and our students love it, and I know you will too. So hopefully you all think that sounds pretty good. Jen there asking, do you need to attend live? Only if you can, Jen, but of course you will have the recordings if you can't. Brian is upgrading, as he's saying he can't wait to do that course. Fantastic stuff. So please do keep it in mind, okay? And I have mentioned earlier that we do have the EQF Level 5 accreditation. There's a lot of people, a lot of students on the course now who are really, really excited to get going with the Advanced Diploma in Mobile App Development. And I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I have spoken to so many students this week in emails who desperately want to secure themselves a spot on the Advanced Diploma in Mobile App Development. And the best way to do that is click on the upgrade now to reserve yourself a space, because 75% of the places are gone, and I can only imagine how many are going to be gone after the end of the lesson. So please do upgrade to reserve yourself a spot. And then as well, just a very quick reminder that you can add 3 friends and family members to your membership completely free. So not a bad idea if you fancy splitting the cost of the membership with a couple of friends or family members. You definitely can. And if you would like more information on that, to receive this offer in your local currency, just type in info. But really, guys, keep it in mind, the offer is ending soon, and places are filling up on the advanced course. So just a quick sum up of everything that is included. First of all, the EQF Level 5 Professional Diploma is included, and then it will give you full access to all Foundation Diploma courses, full access to all Advanced Diploma courses as well, free e-diplomas and toolkits for all courses, and full access for 3 friends and family members, as well as premium support, and you can cancel at any time. So it is ending soon, and click on the upgrade button to see it in your own currency. I personally can't believe we only have 1 lesson left on the foundation course. That's definitely correct, Brian. So Lisa's feeling a bit nervous about the final assignment. I'm sure a few of you are. Well, don't worry about it. I will be uploading an exam prep lesson, and I'll guarantee you'll be feeling really confident about taking the final assignment after that. Jerry's asking, is this our last week? This is the last week, guys. We've only 1 lesson left, so please keep that in mind. So again, guys, the 3-month option is our most popular. Again, if you maybe don't think you might be a bit intense to complete the whole course, you could go for the 6-month option. Take your time with it, and again, it's not a direct translation in your. We have a couple of questions coming in from the lesson in regards to making money in mobile. So and as well, guys, if you have anything that you'd like me to clear up, just email me at mobile.app@shawacademy.com. So well, you can access the recordings of the lessons by going into your members area and viewing them from there. How can I protect my app from hackers? Again, it depends what you mean by hackers. The main protection is with user information. So there is a lot of safeguards in the way the Android system is designed, and the way you develop an app make it very difficult for someone to hijack your app in that sense, because it's structured in such a way it's difficult for someone just to come along and take control of someone's app. They need to get access to their phone. At that stage, they probably have just stolen someone's phone. Now, if you want to protect user data, again, Google and Android have a lot of options there that are very secure, very well integrated, so you needn't worry about that. And if you're referring to your actual app idea, well, that more has to do with just making sure that you've good internet security and you're not allowing anyone to download stuff off of your computer. So how do you reward users for promoting your app? Stefan, quite good one. Well, again, as I said, there are a huge variety of ways. If you had a Facebook page, for instance, for your app, it might be an idea to say share this app on Facebook, and you could be entered into a draw to win a PS4. Or something like that, or you get this in-app purchase for free. You get 100 gold coins. So there's quite a few different ways to do it. Jason, if you could rephrase that question, I'm unsure what you referring to there. Do you think apps that can be tasteless should still be developed, David? Again, if you find a niche, if people do enjoy tasteless things, I'm not going to say that occasionally I don't enjoy something that's tasteless. So you could develop it if you wish. Now, again, you want to keep it in mind there is quite a difference between tasteless and extremely offensive and criminal as well. So there is that distinction between something that's tasteless as opposed to something that's actually could be illegal, extremely offensive. So you do need to keep that in mind as well, because if we remember back to the last lesson, there is the content rating for your app. If you lie in that, again, people will see the content rating and be able to figure it for themselves. No problem. Oh, so there doesn't seem to be a huge amount more questions coming in at the moment, guys. I will see you all back for lesson 8, development analysis. If anybody has any other questions or anything you'd like to ask me, just email me at mobile.app@shawacademy.com and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you all on the advanced course. I will be uploading some bonus videos for you all to get stuck into, because there will be a nice little break between the end of this semester or the end of this course and then the start of the next semester of the advanced course, where you will all be able to hop in. So I will leave it there. Enjoy your evening, morning, day, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you back for lesson 8, development analysis.